about Medicaid. We are talking about people being able to continue to live their lives in some semblance of health, not exceptional health. So the fight to make a better society doesn't even end when we save Medicaid, and we will. It ends when we make healthcare a human right across this country and make sure every single person in the United States of America has a healthy life that they are able to live. And that's what Locals for Good is intending to do. We are not stopping this fight at any point in the near future. We want to fight for a better society going forward every single day.
Hey, Will.
But I do want to tell you that there's one bit of bad news and two bits of good news. I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is, as I said, this has just started and it is intentional. The actions that have been taken are done with malice aforethought. They aren't just because somebody wanted to do it. They are systematically attacking institutions and programs that have improved the lives of people in America for decades upon decades. And they are doing it in a way that shows those who have are going to be preferred to those who have not. That can't stand, and it is not American. We all have to recognize that is not an American virtue to attack people who need help. Along with a barrage of across the board of immigrants, including the deportation of citizens that are children being deported from this country. Along with executive orders designed to weaken the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Further assaults on the educational system in the United States of America, moves against trans people in the military, and pressure campaigns against journalists, and that's just this week. One of the first things they did, one of the first priorities they made in terms of budget was going after Medicaid, Medicare, and the social safety net of this country. So those of you that are affected by that, we understand and we want to help stand beside you. Again, if you are impacted by this and you want to speak so that your voice is heard, please come over and make sure that we can do that with you. This attempt to dismantle people's lives while trying to crush the judiciary, which is the only direct route people have to influence government. We elect representatives in the other two branches, but any of us can take a lawsuit that goes the whole way to the Supreme Court and changes the country. It's our only direct route. So there's intentionality behind arresting judges because they have made decisions, because they have decided to help people as well. That's the bad news. I'm sorry to tell all of you that, and I'm sorry on a day like this, I give you a bummer to start the speech. However, there are two bits of good news. The first is that they are incompetent. Up and down the board, they have put into charge the worst people that don't know what they're doing. And for a multitude of reasons. Some of them just aren't quite all that bright. Some of them are completely detached from the day-to-day lives of people. I don't believe that somebody that has institutional and generational wealth and will never want for one thing in their lives will ever be able to understand the impact they are having on people here. So they are incompetent in what they're doing. But the better and the other piece of good news is that they are cowards. And they will see this in a city like Johnstown and understand that people won't have it anymore. So without further ado on that, thank you for being here. Thank you for having your voices heard. And thank you for being a part of this. I want to bring to the stage Kirsten Daly from Johnstown for Choice. Again, thank all of you for coming here, and we really appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name is Kirsten Daly, and I'm here to talk about something deeply personal. Something that affects millions of Americans, yet often remains misunderstood or ignored. The daily reality of living with bipolar I disorder, ADHD, anxiety, and PTSD. Each of these conditions alone presents unique challenges, but together they form a complex, often overwhelming tapestry that can make everyday life feel like a battlefield. One moment I'm soaring with manic energy, full of ideas and passion, and the next I'm crashing into a fog of depression so heavy It's hard to move, let alone function. ADHD scrambles my focus and scatters my ability to stay organized. Anxiety whispers that I'm failing and that danger is around every corner. And PTSD, it doesn't care about time. A sound, a smell, a moment can hurl me back into the worst parts of my past as if they're happening all over again. This isn't just about mental illness, it's about survival. And survival for me and many others depends on access to health care, which means it depends on access to Medicaid. Medicaid is not just an insurance card, it's therapy sessions that help me make sense of my thoughts. It's medications that help me stabilize my moods and give me a fighting chance to participate in life. It's emergency care when things spiral out of control. Without Medicaid, I would not be standing here. I might not be anywhere at all. For people like me, people who can't work full-time because of our conditions, who face stigma, poverty, and isolation, Medicaid is a lifeline. It allows us to get treatment, stay in our communities, and maintain hope. It gives us dignity, it gives us a future. Yet too often our healthcare is treated as optional, a budget line to be trimmed, a political pawn. But I'm here to remind you that this is not a debate for us. It's our lives. We deserve to be seen, we deserve to be cared for, and we deserve a system that values us as human beings. So when you think about Medicaid, don't just think about costs and policies. Think about people. People like me. People who are fighting every day to stay afloat in a world that doesn't make it easy. We are not lazy, we are not broken. We are doing our best with what we've been handed, and we need your support to keep going. Thank you for listening, and thank you for seeing us. Next up from Victim Services, Ava Genovese is going to speak. Is Ava here?
Yes, she's coming.
Oh, she's coming. Oh, you got a baby in tow. Okay, I gotta set the kid down, hold this.
Thank you. He's important and part of this.
Yeah.
All right, my name is Ava Genovese. I am a housing and resource advocate at Victim Services. Through my childhood, I was covered by CHIP, which is the Children's Health Insurance Program. My mom was a server and my dad was a carpenter. At 20, I was cut off the CHIP program. My dad had lung cancer. He did his best to work as much as he could until he couldn't. My mom and I were both servers at local restaurants, which we know does not offer health insurance. I was in my last year of undergrad at UPJ. My degree was in psychology. I had the goal of going to graduate school. In October of 2015, I got pregnant. Even though I was still living in my parents' household because I was an adult and I was having a child of my own, I was able to get on Medicaid by myself with my child to take care of myself and go to my prenatal appointments. All of my prenatal appointments were covered by Medicaid. Whenever I was pregnant, it's important to go to the dentist. Cavities can have an impact on the child, on their health. You can cause infections that can lead to the bloodstream that can be detrimental. I did have cavities during my pregnancy, and all my dental appointments were covered by Medicaid. 2016, my father passed away. It was a crazy year for me. My grandfather was also diagnosed with cancer. My grandmother was 98. The woman would not use a walker, so she was constantly falling. But on the bright side, I had graduated college. I was accepted into the graduate school program, and then I also gave birth. My childbirth was completely covered by Medicaid. The cost of childbirth with and without insurance. With private insurance, on average in Pennsylvania, vaginal birth costs $6,458. On average, a C-section costs $10,349. Without any insurance, a vaginal birth costs $12,223, and a C-section costs $18,753. And they want the birth rate to increase.
Yeah.
My baby then was covered by Medicaid. My baby was premature. Not this one, my first one, but we'll get to him. I have 4, by the way. All of them covered by Medicaid, might I add. So my first baby was premature. He was jaundiced, he lost weight, he needed a little extra care, and all that extra care was paid for by Medicaid. All of my postpartum visits were then paid for by Medicaid. All of the well visits for the baby, including vaccinations, treatments, and etc., paid for by Medicaid. My first child also had 7 to 9 fever days a month, which led us to go to see a specialist in Pittsburgh, which was also paid for by Medicaid. In 2017, I lost my remaining grandparents. I was going to grad school. I was caring for a newborn. My anxiety and depression increased. Therefore, my counseling sessions increased and my medications increased. All of that was paid for by Medicaid. In 2018, I started my first big girl job at the Women's Health Center after I graduated grad school. Full-time, salary benefits. You'd think everything would be covered and I'd be good, right? Wrong. I was covered with that private insurance, but that didn't cover everything. My child was not covered. Therefore, we still qualified for Medicaid. My child was completely covered, and Medicaid was my secondary insurance for everything that my primary didn't cover. On 2018, I was pregnant again, and then again my childbirth was covered by Medicaid, and the baby was covered by Medicaid. In 2019, I was able to buy a house because some of my medical costs were covered by Medicaid. In 2020, unfortunately, my children's father and I had split up, and I had found out that I was pregnant with his third child. I had financially struggled, but luckily, with the help of Medicaid and also another life-saving program, SNAP, I was able to help feed myself and my children. In 2021, I gave birth to my third, which was also paid for by Medicaid. In 2021, I started working at Victim Services. Again, I was covered, but my kids were not. Medicaid was my secondary and my kids' primary. Some bigger medical things that we had dealt with throughout the years was in 2021, after my third child, I was constantly going to doctor's appointments for the cardiologist and the pulmonologist because my blood pressure was sky high and not under control, and I was having trouble breathing, which then led to asthma. All of that, all of those doctor's appointments, all of the treatment, and all of my medications that are health-sustaining are paid for by Medicaid. In 2022, my oldest child was put under for dental work, paid for by Medicaid. In 2023, my second child was a little wild at school. They threatened to kick him out of daycare if he did not get a diagnosis. We did end up getting him evaluated. We got him diagnosed with ADHD. He received services through behavioral health, and he now has a behavioral health technician, which was formerly known as a TSS, so he has somebody with him at school during the day, every day, to help him stay on task. And that is all of his behavioral health services are covered by Medicaid. In 2023, my oldest had to get his tonsils out due to constantly having strep throat and missing school and having to get antibiotics, which were paid for by Medicaid, and also the surgery was covered by Medicaid. In 2024, my second child had to undergo the same dental procedure, also covered by Medicaid. In 2024, I had this little guy, Elio. His childbirth was completely paid for by Medicaid. He is also on Medicaid, and in his short 6 months of life, he has had RSV, he has had bronchiolitis, he has had to use a nebulizer to undergo several breathing treatments, all paid for by Medicaid. Also recently, he was diagnosed with plagiocephaly, and he has a helmet to help shape his head. That helmet and all of his helmet appointments were all paid for by Medicaid. Over the years, Medicaid has helped cover our sick visits, our well visits, our dental visits, and any dental work, our medications, which we're constantly sick. We share germs all through the house, all through sick season. I have health-sustaining medications for my issues, and also my ADHD little guy, he has medication to help him sleep every night. We have been through the doctors for stitches, through appointments with specialists, through eye doctor's appointments so we all have glasses, through emergency room visits, all of it paid for by Medicaid. So in conclusion, without Medicaid, we can't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of our children, and we simply just cannot survive. Thank you. Next, we have Riley Sabo from Victim Services.
Alrighty. Hello everyone, my name is Riley Sabo. I also work for Victim Services. I am a housing, medical, and legal advocate for Victim Services for Cambria and Somerset County. I have been with the agency for about 1.5 years now, so I know it's been a short time, and for me speaking here today, I seem young, but it's a very important day, and I've seen a lot of things in the last 1.5 years that are important for Medicaid benefits for my survivors. I work with people who are trying to flee domestic violence or human trafficking to find safe housing, help them get that housing, and get them government assistance, and help them find income sources in the area. I advocate for sexual assault, domestic violence, and trafficking survivors when they need assistance to get medical resources in the community. That could be psychiatric doctor evaluations, getting a primary care doctor, or even going to the gynecologist because of a sexual assault they've had. I also advocate for victims through the legal system, from property crimes to homicide cases. Medicaid is a resource that a majority of our survivors use. Most survivors, when they come to us, do not have jobs and very limited income, meaning they most likely don't have health insurance. Because this is how abusers control. They control you financially, they control you physically, they control you mentally, and they control you sexually. So they take everything away from you. If Medicaid is cut, our survivors are more likely not to get medical, psychiatric, and trauma treatment. Many of our survivors come to us with an injury known as traumatic brain injury, or also known as TBI, because of the abuse they have endured from their abuser. TBI, if untreated, can cause someone to have seizures, speech, visual, and auditory issues, memory loss, and brain swelling, which could cause a coma. This is also a very similar injury that we see with the NFL, with football players, but here it's because of the abuse these survivors have endured. If this Medicaid cut happens, Conemaugh Memorial Hospital will most likely have to close. This is because many of the patients that go to Conemaugh have Medicaid, meaning that most of the money that Conemaugh gets is from Medicaid reimbursement. This means for our agency and for our survivors who come forward, if they are sexually assaulted and would like to get something known as an FRE, which is a forensic rape examination, they will have to go to Pittsburgh. This is because Conemaugh is the only hospital in this area, and I repeat, the only hospital in this area, who has a nurse or a resident staff member who or is trained and can do something known as an FRE examination. I have worked with several survivors in this county and in other counties, Indiana, Bedford, Somerset, Allegheny, who have come here because there's no hospital that will treat them and do an FRE examination on them. This means if you are sexually assaulted in Cambria or Somerset County, you will have to drive 2 hours away for a rape examination. A majority of our survivors will not do that. It is hard enough to come forward as a survivor to get the justice that you deserve, but especially having to drive 2 hours away after having the most traumatic experience happen to you and then sit in a waiting room and wait for them to traumatize you again is hard enough. And then driving that extra 2 hours, and what if you don't have a car? What if you don't have gas? It's already a struggle for people in this area to go to Walmart to get food, to find an officer to drive you there. JPD is already understaffed enough. Who's going to drive you there? Some people in this town are just so traumatized from this. And this will mean that less people will come forward and less people will stand up for the justice they deserve, meaning that their abusers and their rapists will get away with these crimes and recommit again. If Medicaid is cut, Highland Health and Lifeline Medical will have very limited resources. They are a main resource for our survivors. We refer them for medical resources in our community because they are the only providers that we know of and we refer to that will accept Medicaid without any extra charges. They also will help our survivors with medical attention for free. This means our survivors will go without psychiatric medication, therapy, general basic checkups, HIV and AIDS treatments, prenatal checkups for our pregnant survivors, neurological exams for our traumatic brain injury survivors, and checkups for their children. No one deserves to have their basic rights taken away from them, and especially with the limited resources that we already don't have in this community. Especially when you take that away from people who have gone through a very traumatic incident and they're trying to do better for themselves. It's just not right. We need to fight. We need to tell people in our community who are not listening to listen. We need to tell our representatives that this is wrong and they should not be cutting Medicaid. Because if we don't, it's only going to get worse. There have already been bills being pushed in the House right now that is going to cut SNAP benefits by $230 billion. It's going to get worse if Medicaid is cut. We already have a limited amount of resources in this county, let alone if it gets worse. Cutting these benefits will make victims not get the services they need and deter them from coming forward about their sexual assaults and the crimes that have been committed to them, and they deserve the justice and freedom that they deserve.
Board meeting this week, and I've only been representing myself because I didn't want to put my organization at risk at all. But when I had my board meeting this week and said, should I be representing my organization, one of my board members said something that like raised the hair on my arms and my legs. Like, I was just so proud of the work I've done on this topic. So this is the first event I'm saying. I'm Jason Relogio. I'm the executive director of Favor Laurel Highlands. So we're fairly new, so I don't know if everybody knows about us. We're a recovery community organization. I've shared the last couple times that I'm a person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder. And what that means is I haven't used any minor mood altering drugs or alcohol in 14 years. So our organization is a little over a year old. I have personal experience. I'm currently on medical assistance for workers with disability. That's currently how I get my health care. It's currently how my daughter gets her health care. Medicaid, after our whole opioid epidemic and the overprescribing of opiates, is that better? After that overprescribing of opiates, I'm a product of that. I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost my job, I became unemployable. It was Medicaid that paid for me to go to treatment for my substance use disorder, and it's Medicaid that paid for when I was raised, you know, like a man 7 miles into the rural part of this area, right? We didn't ask for help. I experienced severe trauma, and it's Medicaid that helps me get and stay well. Now, for the past 10 years, I've been working to help people with substance use disorders and mental health conditions try to find a new way of life, try to so like a life in recovery is so amazing. So amazing. We reach potentials. 14 years ago, I was homeless. In 2022, I was appointed to Governor Wolf's Behavioral Health Commission. Like, we do recover. We do recover. I had an appointed position for this state as somebody that was a convicted felon, you know what I mean? And now I get to say how we help people coming out of jail. We need help. We just need somebody to walk alongside of us. And if Medicaid gets cut, I don't know how my organization's going to stay alive. I mean, we've been around for a year. We had 200 people through our door. We all know what the opioid epidemic's done to this town. You know what I mean? We've all seen this in the newspapers. So, like, let's get loud. Come on. Woo! We're not small, but we're mighty, right? Yeah! I need to be able to help people in this town. I need to be able to help people live beyond their dreams. You could have never told me I was going to achieve some of the stuff I did. And it's because there were some folks that helped me out when I was down. You know what I mean? It's because Medicaid helped me out. We that have lived it, we give so much of ourselves to help people. You know what I mean? I know what is available to people no matter how low they've been in their life. I understand, like, it takes a trauma counselor, trauma therapist for me to process some stuff so I can get on with my life, right?
Right, yeah.
Yep.
So please keep fighting. Please keep anything you can. Please write our legislators. Make sure your address is on it so they know that you represent them. We got to be loud. We got to make noise. That's the only way shit's going to get done.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So please write your congressman, call them every week. Please. We're a real big, our PA 13 is very important to this Medicaid topic. Very, very important. I just got here, I came in hot, speeding. to get here. And just if anybody hasn't said it already, PA 13, our congressman is the vice chair of the Energy and Chambers Committee, which is where this funding is going to get cut from. So like everybody should be writing their congressman, but our congressman has a big say for every human in America. So please stand up and be proud. One more time. Oh. All right, our next speaker is Kevin Bean.
I'm really happy to be able to be here and share my experience as well. Like a lot of other people, Medicaid has helped me through every portion of my life. Growing up as a child, I was affected by domestic abuse, substance abuse disorder, sexual abuse. My sister had her first child at 15, homelessness, all of the different things, throughout the course of my life. But every step of that way, some Medicaid program helped us to survive and helped us to get through. I was very blessed to have people step into my life, very blessed to have some teachers that looked at me, a very troubled kid, failing out of school, stealing, getting in fist fights all the time, and said, "You're too smart to be acting this stupid," and they helped me. They saw me when I needed to be seen. I was very lucky to be able to go to college and then to graduate school. I got a bachelor's degree in theater, a master's degree in English literature. So of course that degree path, now I work in healthcare. I got my first job as an activities director. And I didn't know that I was going to love the industry, but I quickly realized that the whole direction of my life was that I come to serve, not to be served. And I had an opportunity to care for people with Down syndrome, schizophrenia, depression, disability, all types of different illnesses. And I worked for a company that really cared. I'm going to walk you quickly, because I know we got to keep things moving, through my path in the healthcare industry to help you understand how things are right now and how much worse they're going to get. So that company, we looked around and said, people are deserving of love and dignity and respect and their humanity, and we are going to take care of those people no matter what. If they can't afford their care, we're still going to take care of those people. We accepted something called supplemental security income, which pays a little over $1,000 a month and doesn't even come close to covering the cost of somebody's care. That company, the owner and I had a conversation. She said, I love the care that you're giving. I love what you're doing. I think your heart's in the right place. We'd like you to become a personal care home administrator. I said, absolutely. I would love a chance to step up and be able to do some more good. And that company that worked so hard and we really put our hearts into everything, they were rewarded. And if you would like to see that reward, we can walk a couple of blocks down the street and go see the locked up empty building that is the atrium, because they went under, because they couldn't afford to keep providing that care and doing the right thing and caring for people that couldn't afford to be there. From there, I got my next job. They hired me as a director of marketing, quickly made me the personal care home administrator. I was on the board of directors for the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association. Another company, family company, spent a lot of time with the ownership. They said, we really think you should become a nursing home administrator. I said, absolutely, another chance to step up and provide more care for people. It was two families put that whole company together. They made it very clear to us from the jump. We are here to advise you, but if you disagree with anything we tell you, you do what you feel is right. You do what you feel is right for the people that you care for, the people that work with you every day. That's your job. We provide care, and everything after that is details. I went, fantastic, I'm on board. And I worked for that company for 5 years. I loved working with them. And that company also got rewarded. The company went bankrupt because they could no longer afford to continue providing care. At that company, I also learned a fun little loophole. Personal care homes cannot get any, it's all private pay, but there's kind of a back door to get money from Medicaid if you become an assisted living. So I turned that building into an assisted living, and then I drove around Pennsylvania and I turned 6 other buildings into assisted livings. And I didn't do that, thank you. I didn't do that to make my company money. I did that because I got so tired and so heartbroken of answering the phone and hearing the same story. My mother desperately needs care, but she cannot afford it. Can you help us? And me having to give the answer, no, I'm sorry. She can't afford where we're at, but I know of a place a couple of hours away that accepts supplemental security income. I think they're still in business. You could probably take her there. Assisted living was a way to change that I said, I actually know a way. Let's take care of your mom. And I created 7 buildings around the state of Pennsylvania that were able to do that same thing and take care of people. And that company went bankrupt. And now they're owned by an out-of-state for-profit industry that is, well, I won't badmouth my competitors. So from there, I went to a nonprofit that they had personal care, nursing home, home health, hospice, in-home care. It was a 100-year-old company that started as an orphanage taking care of children after a mining disaster, that when those children grew up and when the miners grew up and they couldn't afford to be cared for, they became a nursing home to be able to help care for those people and do it in a charitable way because they couldn't afford care. They said, we need help organizing things. I said, absolutely, you have an excellent mission. I can't wait to join you. A month before I joined them, payroll came out on Friday, and on Tuesday they had $262 in the bank. Because in the state of Pennsylvania, that's what doing the right thing by people does to a company. That company is now owned by another company, which is an out-of-state for-profit industry. From there, I went again to a company that was saying all the right things and doing all the right things out in Bedford. I fought like hell for our people. I made sure that our people were being paid right. I made sure that our residents were being taken care of. And all of a sudden, the company's not doing very well. At that point in time, it cost us $310 a day to care for somebody. Medicaid pays us $225 a day. Every single person in the building we lost money on. When I added up over the course of a year, that one home was losing $3.3 million a year caring for people on Medicaid. That was the hole we had to start from to dig out of in the state of Pennsylvania. My building averaged a loss of $110,000 a month. COVID magnified that. At that point, we lost 220,000 people from the industry. The agency staffing companies came in and were absolutely vampiric and predatory. They continue to be. The little bit of money that we were able to get by with, they're just siphoning right out. The state had a chance to put a cap on that to try to help us help our people. They refused to do it. Passed more regulations to make it even harder for us to provide care for people. That company that I fought so hard for, guess what they did? They went bankrupt. They sold, actually it's been a year, they're still looking for a buyer. Nobody even wants to buy them at this point because of how bad the situation is in Pennsylvania. I moved to a new company. I get to be finally back here in town. I'm in Johnstown. I joined the company on April 30th, October 29th, or pardon me, April 30th, June 18th, they declared bankruptcy. October 29th, they sold to an out-of-state for-profit nursing home chain. Luckily, this company is really working hard to provide good care. It's the only reason why I'm staying there and continuing to fight. But now, after inflation and everything that's happened, so 5 years ago, it cost me about $310 a day to care for somebody, and we got $225 from Medicaid. Today, it cost me $360 a day to care for somebody, and I get $215 a day from Medicaid. We've lost money since then, and all of our costs have skyrocketed. Nursing homes and personal care homes are closing left and right across the state of Pennsylvania. It is not improving. The care is not improving. All the things they're trying to do are making it worse and worse and worse. And now they're trying to cut Medicaid. I stand by the fact that I come to serve, not to be served. And that elderly people in the state of Pennsylvania, they deserve care, they deserve love, they deserve dignity. And And what is happening is a damn crime, because they're making it harder and harder and harder for the people like me that put their heart and soul into what we do and why we do it. And they're just tearing our legs out from under us, and they're trying to make it even worse now. So please, please fight like hell, because it's going to affect every single one of us today, every single one of us tomorrow, and every single one of us years down the road. And I don't want to ever have to have a day that I have to turn someone away that desperately needs care, but we're getting closer and closer to that day every day. Thank you for giving me the time. I'm going to pass the mic over now. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody that's spoken, those of you that came out and were scheduled. I do want to get to, because we had a bunch of people come over, say they wanted to have their voices heard, and we want that. So I wanted to make sure that Madeline, is Madeline here? Madeline Burrows?
Did Maddie have to leave?
Okay. How about Frank Scarcella?
He's with
her?
Yeah, he's with Maddie.
I
yeah.
think they...
Yeah, they might have had to leave.
Okay. Arlene. I know, there she is. Clonicky? This is Arlene Clonicky. You came up to signed up. We do want to just ask, we don't want to be here all day, but just tell your story to us. Tell us what you want to say.
I'm not a public speaker at all. I work for Children and Youth Services. The one thing that you never see, unless you're a caseworker, is the faces of small children who lost their families by no fault of their own sometimes, and this is the worst part of it. Without those SNAP benefits and things like that, parents can just lose their children due to that. You can have your you can love your child more than anything, and if your electricity is not working, you are going to lose your child. That's just the way it is. If you go in, and I know I've done it, you have to look through cabinets, and if there's not enough food in there, or the water's not running, you're going to have somebody come to your house. That's the way it's going to be. And the foster children, which they will become, it costs $200 in benefits a lot of times. $200, that's it. That's all that it takes, just to get a family over the edge to keep their children. I mean, you know, there are cases where they really can't stay. You're not going to see those little faces looking up at you, wondering why you're driving away with them and not taking mommy and daddy. And I'll tell you what, it is heartbreaking. If you see those faces, if you would just see those faces, you would never, ever allow this to happen. And every single one of those children, have some type of trauma because of it, and they go to places where they don't feel loved. And I worked for a place where I don't know how much I can say without, you're trying to get a child out of a sexual abuse situation, and you move them into a home where they get sexually abused. It's just not right. And every one of those children that goes into foster care gets Medicaid. They get Medicaid. We have to keep it. That's all there is to it. We have to keep
it. Thank you, Arlene. Really appreciate that. Taylor Fraley. Taylor. Give him a hand. There. I'll ask if you just take a step.
This good? All right. Now, I'm going to try to keep this very brief because honestly I'm not very much of a public speaker either, which is why I signed up to do this, of course. Let me just go ahead and say, I was not born in Johnstown. I moved here 13 years ago to escape from a domestic abuse situation, and honestly, being homeless in Johnstown was preferable to the situation I was in. Ever since I have been here, every single person I've met in this town has been helpful to me. The way I was raised up by this town, by organizations here establishing programs solely so that they could help me to eventually have an apartment that they would be paying for, or have health care. All of this stuff was just people in this town did a lot for me, is what I'm trying to say. And over the course of those 13 years, I have managed to obtain disability as well as through that Medicaid. And all of those people that helped me were also people receiving some kind of welfare, some kind of SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare. If we let this happen, if we let these people take away our healthcare rights, my life is going to be in danger because I am on a kind of medication that keeps me alive. It is Depakote. It is for a seizure disorder. If I do not take this medication, it is not a matter of when, or rather not a matter of if, but when I will have a seizure. It is not something that is triggered by any kind of flashing lights. It is just triggered by existing. And right now, the Trump administration wants to make it so that I will not be able to get that I will be dead. And so will all of those people who helped me along the way, and all of the countless more who I am sure are great people, because that's what Johnstown is. It is a town of great people, a town that deserves more care, more. And on top of that, unfortunately, Johnstown has a problem with lead in the water, which is something that Medicaid would, you just want to take people off the Medicaid, and again, I apologize for a really lack of any kind of, I guess my point I'm just trying to say is, Trump sucks. Yeah. This entire administration sucks. And each and every one of us, whether we like it or not, is unfortunately affected by this. And there are plenty of others who still support him, who are also being affected by this, and are coming to realize that, oh, my actions have consequences. There's a joke online that says, oh no, I never realized the leopard eating my face party was going to eat my face. But here's where we are, and here we stand, together, against all this. Thank you.
Thank you both for sharing your stories. We're going to move to somebody who's not from Johnstown, I don't think. Janelle, or Janae? Hannah's from Johnstown.
So am I.
Okay. Oh, they're both coming up. So this is Hannah Brown, who is from Johnstown, and Janae Oliver from Pittsburgh, from Disability Rights Pennsylvania. So thank you for coming to join us here.
Thank you. I'm Hannah Brown. Like he said, I'm from Disability Rights Pennsylvania. We got contacted by Todd a couple weeks ago to come, and one of our huge things right now is to defend Medicaid. So we're so happy to be here.
And I'm Janae Oliver. I am a staff attorney with Disability Rights Pennsylvania. Again, thank you for inviting us. What we do at Disability Rights is we advocate on behalf of people with disabilities. So the majority of our clients are on Medicaid or some sort of subsidized health care. So we know firsthand how you feel and what you're going through. So Hannah and I are going to talk to you a little bit about why it's important not to have cuts with Medicaid. Medicaid provides healthcare services and long-term supports that maintain the health and independence of over 750,000 people in the state of Pennsylvania. So that's a lot of people getting affected by potential cuts. People with disabilities often get comprehensive health care from Medicaid, along with mental health care, transportation, home supports, and other things. So taking away Medicaid takes away crucial supports for these people and their families. So we understand that. We talk to Medicaid people. We fight for you guys to get the rights that you need and more Medicaid and more health insurance. So we know firsthand how devastating it will be. Pennsylvania itself, the state has made some significant investments in creating our community-based service system, and any proposed changes or cuts would affect that. So meaning what they're trying to do is cut Medicaid and give the states a bunch of money and say, here, take care of your citizens. But that's not going to work, right? How many of us have sat on a waiting list for health care and never, ever got anything? So just imagine what that wait list is going to look like if they cut the funding. Yeah. So the proposed solutions are not solutions. So that's why it's important for events like this and for us to get out here and be heard.
Thanks, Janae. On top of that, reducing federal investment would cripple Pennsylvania services for many other reasons as well. Pennsylvania, our state government has done a really great job at maximizing the amount of money that we have in our Department of Health. And HHS, DHS is the largest funded programs in our state government, and that's where all of these services come from, something very, very important to fund, and we have maximized that in Pennsylvania because of the federal match programs that we have. So the overwhelming majority of our money is match programs, and that would just cripple a lot of the programs that we have for these. They're essentially entitlement programs. We're all entitled to living, right? And a lot of these programs are simply survival programs and entitlement programs, and those are the ones that are going to get cut, as you all know. In addition, there's still a requirement to provide institutional-based care. This would further reduce the funding available for community-based services, which is what a lot of our funding we are trying to push towards, because people want to stay in their communities. DRP was founded because of the issues that come with institutionalization. We all know where disabled people went 50, 60 years ago. They weren't here. They were hidden, and that's a lot of why Disability Rights Pennsylvania was founded on, and that's what we continue to fight for. There's no way to cut this funding to these programs without cutting services. They keep saying that they're cutting the funding, but they're not cutting services, or they keep saying, we're not cutting Medicaid, we're not cutting Medicare, but we're just cutting all this money. But the numbers are saying this money comes from these programs. There's no amount of money that you can find that isn't targeting these programs. So we can't let what they're saying get to us. We can't believe them. It's just not truthful, and it doesn't exist. The money that they're looking for doesn't exist. But in short, with the aging demographics of Pennsylvania and the ongoing budget issues at the state level, any legislation to cut, cap, or block grant Medicaid funds will lead to an immediate and devastating impact on Medicaid funding for people with disabilities. People with disabilities will lose the necessary services and supports that allow them to work, live, and participate in their communities. And we all know that the disability community is a community that any one of us can become a part of at any time. So it is something that we all need to support. And now, if you don't mind, I'll take my DRP hat off and I would like to discuss a little bit of my personal relationship with Medicaid. I was on Medicaid my entire life until I was 20 years old, which I was here in Johnstown at UPJ. I was able to find a great dentist out here, paid nothing. I danced for a long time, and I had some shifting issues with my hips because of it. I was able to go to a chiropractor through Medicaid for $1. My copay was $1. It was amazing. I was able to thrive as a kid and a child and a young adult because of Medicaid, and so was a lot of my family members. And right now my family is going through a lot of interpersonal issues in relation to addiction, and my niece is able to go to every one of her appointments, every specialty appointment that she needs because of some birth issues. Anything possible that she possibly needs is free because of Medicaid. So I just wanted to put that out there. It affects us all in the future of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for sharing. Again, we know firsthand, we can't tell you how many times we got on the phone with people and they're in tears because they can't pay for their health care or they're trying to cut their health care. So we know firsthand, and disabilityrightspa.org is our website. So if you have problems, please reach out to us, and we're going to introduce our next speaker.
Rosalie Danchenko?
Danchenko.
Was that close enough?
I am the person who touches the hands, sees the face, hugs the people who are on Medicaid. I'm wearing this hat today because I'm still proud to be an American because of my constitutional right of freedom of speech. And today we're going to speak. I've asked my Vanna and my Mr. Vanna out front to hold up a sign. Do you realize that they want to cut $880 billion in Medicaid? Say that. Say it. $880 billion. I can't hear you. $880 billion in Medicaid. This is not okay. You have heard the personal stories as to what Medicaid covers. You can't take that away. Medicaid is not a handout. The majority of people on Medicaid are adults who are working, or individuals who are caregivers, or people who have disabilities or substance abuse. You heard this passionate story from Jason. How many years he has been in recovery and where he's come from then to now. We all have that opportunity to be better if we find our voice. We're going backwards now, friends. I remember fighting the war on poverty, and I remember over there in the Glosser Brothers when I worked in Prospect, the big thing they wanted was a black mannequin. They got that black mannequin. We won't have a black mannequin anymore because of the tearing down of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are going backwards. We're going backwards when they're taking money away from people who need the help with substance abuse. Where we are now getting ready and in a fight of our life. We're fighting for the war for health. War for health. We are the soldiers in that army. And we have to take up our arms and fight for the individuals who need Medicaid. Our weapon is our voice. And with our voice, we can make a difference. I stand before you, I plead with you to find your voice. Does everybody have a phone? Yeah. Hold up your phone. I want to see phones. Phones. Turn it over. I want you to put this number in your phone right now, because I know each of you are probably procrastinators, and you're probably hearing what I have to say, and you're going to go, yes ma'am, I'm going to call that number and I'm going to try to make a difference, and I'm going to tell my legislator. I want you to call this number right now. And when it doesn't answer, or it's busy, or no one's there, I want you to leave a message. And in that message, I want you to say no to $880 billion in Medicaid cuts. You tell your legislator now, today, you do not want those cuts. And in doing so, if they're not there, you tell them to call you back, because they will. They have to. The time is now for each and every one of us to find our voice and make sure that that voice is loud. Each of you are here because you care. Each of you are here because you're advocates. Each of you are here because you want to make a difference. And I'm telling you, you have to make a difference, because what will happen will be devastating. The two ladies before me said over 700,000 people in Pennsylvania will be affected. Well, let me tell you, 116,000 will be affected right here in Cambria County. 116,000 people. We have only at Highlands Health served 1,200. How are these individuals going to get help? How are they going to get help? I'm worried. I'm scared. We have to work together.
Is that John Joyce's number?
Yeah, that's Joyce's, isn't that? I'm pretty sure that's Joyce's number.
Tell him I said hi. He knows. Will not be tolerated.
Thank you. Thank you. The time is now. $880 billion in cuts. Call your legislator now, and you know what? You better vote. You better vote. Thank you.
$880 billion is better served helping people to be healthy than it is being a tax cut to people who will never understand how much more money they have than I do. Okay? End of story. We are all here, and we are not going back. We are not going back. I need you to tell me that. We are not going back. We want to have healthy communities, and we are not going back. We want to provide health for those that need it, and we are not going back. We want to have liberty in our communities. We want to have the ability to speak freely and not feel as though we are going to be threatened, and we are not going back. Thank all of you for coming here today, because we are here because we care about this community. People like Taylor, people like Arlene, these are leaders in your community, like Rosalie, like Jason and Kevin. These are the people that make up one of the truly underappreciated cities in this Commonwealth and in this country. Johnstown's special, and it will be absolutely impacted with these cuts. And the fact of the matter is that no matter how many times you try to wash away Johnstown, we are here, and we are not going back, right? Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.